Thank you, Laura, for joining me for this GE100 2021 interview. So we're here today to discuss the current state of play and future challenges and opportunities in the ground engineering sector. But I thought we should start with a look back at the last year. And I'd like to kind of go over some of the key challenges and opportunities that Fugro has had over the last 12 months, which have been quite challenging for the industry.
Yeah, thanks, Nia, for the opportunity to talk with you about this. So I took over at the helm of Fugro UK in January of this year, and what I found was that the company had reacted extremely quickly at the beginning of the pandemic to safeguard the business, going into this period of great uncertainty. And whilst the beginning of 2020 was quiet, I think as clients then took stock of the situation, and we really saw things picking up. So over the past 12 months, actually, we've been extremely busy. And so really the challenges have been around how we manage that busy period with that backdrop of uncertainty. So working very closely with our clients to try and help them as they themselves navigated the pandemic climate. So it has been challenging, but in some ways for the right reasons, because we have had a lot of activity. I think the thing that I probably highlight was the challenge of the remote supervision and how we managed to maintain the oversight of our operations and the safety particularly. We were removed as a supervisory team from our operations, either on vessels or on onshore sites. And so we've really had to work hard to ensure that remote supervision worked for everybody.
So in your view, what kind of lessons can you take forward from those experiences going forward?
So I've been really struck by the resilience of our people. Almost overnight, the ways in which we worked changed. And actually, the team have done a tremendous job in managing the safety and the delivery and the quality of the operations through that uncertain time. So I'm really heartened actually by the quality and the resilience of our personnel. Particularly in areas like our laboratories, where we've met unprecedented demand through the last 12 months. And in those tough conditions and with all of the additional controls that we've had to put in place to safeguard people's health, they've managed the continuity of the operations. So I think that people are resilient, and I think that really stands us in good stead going forward. I think also it's worth thinking about kind of the digital evolution as well, because I think even pre-pandemic, we were well on the way to kind of moving away from that paper-based system and having a consistent digital approach from project planning all the way through the execution and then into the analysis. But really the pandemic has accelerated that digital evolution, and I think now we need to take stock of where we are and ensure that we've got consistent take up throughout our business, and in fact throughout the whole of the industry, because we need to make sure that we've got consistency in approaches and in technologies, so that clients don't have to grapple with multiple different systems from multiple different suppliers. So I think that we've learned a lot about operating digitally and efficiently, and there's more to do now to embed that and standardise as we go forward.
So based on the results of the GE100 survey this year, so the main concerns for the sector currently, it's still COVID-19 related issues, and then it's also the ongoing skills shortage. Do you share these same concerns as well?
I think the biggest COVID-19 related challenge that remains, it is about the investment climate post-pandemic. So we hear a lot of talk about investment to really be able to, grow the UK economy again. A lot of talk about Northern Powerhouse and all the infrastructure investment that we need. But we need to now see how that's translated actually into investment commitments. So I think that uncertainty in the environment, is going to run for a little while longer at least. And then I think for the skills shortage, I think that's much wider than just our industry. I mean, we're seeing an incredibly buoyant employment market now, and people are going to have choices in terms of where they're going to work, and we're seeing a lot of movement of personnel right across the UK, aren't we? So I think certainly attracting and retaining the right people into our industry and into our companies is going to require a lot of effort as we move forward.
And so from Fugro's point of view, what are your expectations for the next 12 months? So, we've talked about, various industry developments and projects. Which of those will sort of have the biggest impact on your work, and any kind of trends as well in the industry that might affect that?
Yeah, well, I think it's all about energy transition and sustainability. And those are, common themes. I think that the offshore wind sector is incredibly exciting. So the ScotWind licensing round has really laid the backdrop for absolutely unprecedented amounts of investment in offshore wind. And I think as those wind farms get bigger and we're moving into deeper water with more complex geologies, our industry has got to rise to the challenge of answering the big questions that our clients need answering. I think the policy environment for oil and gas remains uncertain, and so whilst in our marine operations, that traditionally has been a large market for us. I think we're waiting to see how that transitions. But really, I think there's so much opportunity in the renewable sector that's unlikely to be an issue for us.
So kind of on top of renewables and the offshore opportunities that you foresee, are there any other sectors that you really expect to see growth in the next 12 months or even beyond, maybe land activities wise as well?
Well, I think the land activities wise, that comes a little bit back to, how are we going to be able to move forward with our intention to increase infrastructure expenditure in the UK. So we look forward to, both more, say, HS2 work, but also I think the decarbonisation of industry. I mean, we've got some really exciting projects with the industrial clusters around the UK coastline. And so I'm looking forward to having get involved in those. But maybe coming back to the wind sector for a moment. I mean, I've talked a bit about the new build wind, but it is more broad than that, of course, because all of these new offshore wind farms, they need to make landfall, they need the onshore distribution infrastructure. And in fact, for the existing assets, there's going to be, I think, more focus on O&M activities to extend the lifetime and really get the productivity out of those assets as well. So I think it's a greater sort of life cycle approach to wind as well as that new build infrastructure.
So speaking or going back to sort of the trends of the energy transition and also climate change adaptation, how will you support your clients in these kind of endeavours?
Well, our expertise is in ground risk management, and we say that our expertise is industry agnostic. So, it doesn't really matter to which particular industry we're applying our skills. I think what's important is that we listen to the why of what our client needs in terms of the ground risk reduction, and then we're able to offer the solutions of the what and the how. And so I think it's really, that dialogue with companies who are stepping into this, new territories to really understand what the ground risk challenge means for them, and then how we can work with them to de-risk that. I'd also point specifically to the fact that we've recently made a commitment to be net zero by 2035. So we will have reduced the emissions from all of our activities to zero, by that date. So that's important for Fugro, but of course our scope 1 emissions are the scope 3 emissions for our clients. So we're able to help with the overall equation and helping our clients meet their commitments, as well as using our expertise and the solutions that we develop to implement within their businesses as well.
So from Fugro's point of view, what are sort of still the challenges that remain for the coming year? What are the things that you might, whether it's sector related or company within the company, what are sort of the key challenges for you?
So we're really looking forward to getting people back into the office and reconnecting and kind of the social aspects of our business, which we know are so important for problem solving and for innovation. So we are beginning to adopt a hybrid working scheme where people will be in the office part of the time and working remotely part of the time, whereas pre-pandemic, that they were in the office all the time. And I think sort of bedding in and then adopting that schedule that works for the company and for individuals. I mean, that's something that's going to take quite a lot of focus and work over the coming year, in parallel to the delivery. And I think that, we're really looking forward to how that new hybrid working scheme is going to capture and embed what we've benefited from in the remote working, but give us what we need in terms of that collaboration space.
Yes, as you mentioned, so Fugro's specialism does lie in managing ground risk and helping clients there. Is there some specific ways you're going to try to push this and maybe in the coming 12 months, some specific ways in which you might be able to highlight how to do it better within project delivery for your clients?
Yeah, well, undoubtedly we see examples of projects that suffer from time and cost overruns because they're tripped up by ground issues that weren't anticipated. And so, we think it's really important to take a full life cycle approach to the ground risk management. So right from the project inception and the early concept, site selection and design and construction, and into the, the long tail of operations. And we've developed a framework over the past 18 months as a tool really for us to be able to facilitate that dialogue between ourselves and the clients to really understand what we can provide and what techniques are available and what level of insight are available at all the different stages of that life cycle. And I think that is already proving to be really helpful with some of our clients to kind of support the dialogue and that common understanding. I think we also, we recognise that there's a change of pace in our industry, and whereas, we had, I think, the luxury of more time and a more sort of linear development process in the past, I think now we're seeing a way we have to work a lot more closely with clients through that life cycle in a really iterative way. So I think, a lot of it is about building the partnership with the client so that all the way through the project life cycle, we continue to look at a project through that ground risk reduction lens, whilst the clients themselves, are concentrating on different aspects through the life cycle. And I think, the tools and then the relationship will help us, better use our skills to de-risk projects all the way through.
And just to wrap things off with, are there any other challenges that you think the ground engineering sector and specifically should focus on today or in the future? Any other areas where you see issues?
Well, I think it comes back to the people aspect that, we've mentioned in a couple of other areas. So I think that when you look across our industry, we're sadly lacking in diversity of the people who are part of the team. And I believe very strongly that in order to find, the solutions that we need to answer the big questions of our time, we need a diverse group of people to really come up with those new and innovative and fresh thinking. So I think as an industry, we have to put in a lot of effort to have a really attractive value proposition. I think young people today, they really want to be engaged in finding these solutions, and they also want to be part of organisations where they see that the values of the organisation match their personal values as well. And so I think, we need to work on what that value proposition is for, for our companies, Fugro, but for the wider industry as well, and enable young people to see that careers in engineering and science directly lead into providing those answers that we need, in the environment that they feel comfortable in. And so, I think that we need to work together to really understand our proposition and then make ourselves attractive, so that we've got the right calibre of people to continue on our ground risk reduction work.
Yeah, it's exactly that thing of showing that the ground engineering sector does help, fight climate change and all these things. And, if you're part of the industry, you're part of, what much wider, world and discussion. So it's just bettering that image, I guess, of the industry and sector as well, and making sure people appreciate that and find it attractive, because I guess that has been the struggle for quite a lot of years now, and continues to be so, which was highlighted in the GE100 again. It's a skills shortage, and the attraction and retention of skilled, talented people is very crucial at the moment.
I think that's absolutely the case, Nia, and I think that we need to continue to put a lot of work into understanding the proposition, as we said, and then marketing it so that it meets people's expectations and desires for a long career.
Thank you, Laura, for taking part in our first GE100 interview series. To see the full results of the GE100 survey and find out what companies ranked highly this year, and to read the analysis piece that accompanies it, please go to the GE100 section of Ground Engineering's website. Thank you.